All right. What's going on, everybody? It's ID84 here, and you are watching the Baseball Fanatic. And today we are going to talk about a very cool stadium, one of the coolest stadiums I've ever been to, top five stadiums easily. And you're not going to believe it. It's an old stadium, too. It's the third oldest stadium still in use right now. It is Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, California. Now, this stadium I've been there once. I went there in 2011, and it was part of that road trip. I went to the Southeastern, and I got to tell you, this stadium is amazing. It is the views in the stadium are absolutely the best views you ever gonna get in baseball. I'm telling you right now. You walk in, so we walked into the stadium. We went there. We had upper deck seats, so we parked up top. Drive first of all, you come off this freeway, you're flying traffic, and you just take a left. It's like you could tell the stadium was built back in the day when there was not a lot of traffic going there. But there's this giant 8 lane highway, boom, 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 going both ways. And then you stop this traffic light and you take a left and you go up this hill. And on the top of the hill, built into the mountain, is Dodger Stadium. And they build it in such a way that when you walk in from the parking lot on a certain side, you're actually walking into the upper deck, the top deck, and then you're looking straight down to all the lower decks below there. And when you're on that upper deck and you're looking straight out to center field, you're seeing the Hollywood Hills, you see the Hollywood sign, you see everything. I mean, it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And then when you're on the upper deck and you look backwards, you're looking into downtown LA. Now this stadium is pretty much right there. It's right in downtown LA for the sake of argument. Um, and it's a great stadium. It's a fun stadium to go to. Fans, absolutely phenomenal fans. I mean, so this stadium, they broke ground on September 17th, 1959. 65 years ago, they started construction on the stadium. 65 years ago. And they finally opened their doors on April 10th, 1962, making the stadium approximately 63 years old. It's the third oldest stadium behind Wrigley and Fenway. Um, at the time, it cost 23 million to build. Nowadays, cost would have been 232 million to build. And the Dodgers obviously played there from 1962 to now. And the Angels actually played there for a little while from 1962 to 1965. So remember, the Angels were a expansion team in the early 60s. And obviously, with expansion teams, sometimes you don't necessarily have a place to go right off the bat. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But in this case, the Angels did not. So the Angels played their first 3 seasons at Dodger Stadium. And it would have been funny that the Angels wouldn't have gone back to Dodger Stadium after that 65 season until 1997 when they started interleague play. So that was almost like 32 years before they ever be able to go to a stadium that they played with before that they didn't go before. So, we have a special guest today in the baseball fanatic. Henry, what's going on, buddy? What do we need? The TV shut off? Okay, we'll fix the TV in 10 minutes. We'll get to it, okay? Why don't you just hang out here and watch the show? You can hang out here. I'll show you in a bit, okay? So, more about the stadium. It was obviously opened in 1962 for the beginning of the season. Um, the Dodgers moved to LA after obviously leaving Brooklyn in the 50s, and they came and established LA as their new home, which is great. So left field at LA at Dodger Stadium is 330 feet. Center field's 395, and right field is 330. It's a pretty decent batter's park with very little foul ground. There's a lot of foul ground behind home plate, but going down to the ends towards the foul post, there's not much foul territory at all. So this is a great hitter's park. I think that it being the way it is, it's a great the outfield wall is low. It's a consistent wall across the entire outfield. So you don't have to worry about any green monsters or any center field monstrosities that would typically cause it be difficult to hit home runs out of this park. I don't think home runs have a problem in this park. The LA Dodgers always seem to build a decent team. And they always seem to be able to pay them too. So, you know, it's a very promising thing. So a little history about the construction of the stadium. In the mid 1950s, Brooklyn Dodgers team president Walter O'Malley had tried to build a dome stadium in the New York borough of Brooklyn, but was unable to reach an agreement with the officials. The Dodger Stadium was seized from local owners in Hibbert's early 1950s by the city of LA using an eminent domain with the funds from the Housing Act of 1949. The city planned to develop, let's see, Elysian Park Heights public housing project, which include 2013-story buildings, 162-story townhouses, and additional rebuilt playground for the college. This was what they were going to do. Before construction began, the housing project, the local political climate changed, and Norris Paulson was elected mayor of Los Angeles in 1953. Proposed public housing projects such as Elysian Park lost most of their support and became associated with socialist ideals following practice. So basically, what happened was the area that Dodger Stadium sits in right now, the city had taken over in the 50s to build something else. They're going to build housing. And it seemed like the need or the want for housing kind of disappeared. So they basically said, let's build a stadium there. So the Dodgers were able to acquire the 352 acres of Chavez Ravine from the city of Los Angeles, forcefully evicting residents from their homes, mainly Hispanic. When the Dodgers was under construction, when Dodger Stadium was under construction, the Dodgers played the league's largest capacity venue from 1958 to 1961 in their temporary home, the LA Coliseum. So basically, what happened is when the Dodgers came to LA, they obviously didn't have a home, just like when the Angels came, they didn't have a home. And they said, you know what? Let's play at the LA Coliseum. That's where the football team's playing. Let's do it. The Los Angeles based Mike Davis in his seminal work on the city. City of Quartz describes. Okay, so this is basically a story that tells about how the city dealt with them losing, taking all these houses away, and basically, taking this land from all the people that live there just to build a stadium or a public. So it's not necessarily the best way to obtain land. It's actually in history one of the worst ways to obtain land. And this happened a lot in the 50s, especially during the Interstate Construction Act when they were doing that. They would just go into the neighborhoods, usually poor neighborhoods, and just stealing their land and then giving them a decent amount, not even enough to cover what the houses would be worth today. And it's just a shame. So it's a bad thing that happened in the United States during the 50s and 60s, and it doesn't happen that much anymore. It's finally been put to a stop, which is good. So, with that said, the stadium obtained land like this would never happen. Hopefully, never again. The Dodger Stadium was the first Major League Baseball stadium since the initial construction of the original Yankee Stadium to be built 100% by private financing. This didn't happen again until Oracle Park in San Francisco in 2000. So it's been a little bit of time since they did that, but it's not very often that stadiums are built using their own money. A lot of times they're outsourcing. A lot of times they're asking the state and the local municipals if they could easily pitch in for some money and stuff. But you know, this was the owners came out there. They're like, we're going to build a stadium. They obtained the land that was supposed to be used for something else, and they did what they had to do. So, and there was what it is. So the Dodgers was sold in 2012. Now I remember when I was there in 2011, the stadium pretty much the team was about to go bankrupt, and they were about to go out of business for the most part. But and I remember being at the stadium, and you go to the gift shop, they had zero gifts, they had zero souvenirs in the gift shop. It was pretty much out of business. I was even able to obtain a shot glass, which I had to actually get later on in life. I don't know how I ended up getting I think I ordered it online. I got a ball instead, but I needed a complete shot glass collection, so I ordered a shot glass for the Dodgers. But it was funny that you didn't even have shot glasses in there. This was like a July game too, right? And it was crazy. So they sold the team in 2012. An architect came in, did a renovation of the 50-year-old building, put new screens, updated the restrooms. I remember being there in 2011. They still had the troughs. And forgive me if I'm wrong, if they still have the troughs at the stadium up in the upper decks. I remember it was really reminiscent of Fenway when I was a kid when they had the troughs, but I think they might have got rid of those when they did the renovation for the new, well, not the new Dodger Stadium, but the Dodger Stadium's renovation. It's an iconic stadium. It has really, really good feels of the 50s and 60s of Southern California architecture and design. It's like going into a time machine. It's a different era of baseball too. Where Wrigley and Fenway are an era of early baseball of the turn of the century of the 1900s. Dodger Stadium is more of a retro 50s Art Deco feel that not many stadiums are able to obtain, or stadiums that are around. There weren't a lot of stadiums built then. You remember in the 1950s, late 50s, early 60s, we had Angel Stadium was built, Dodger Stadium was built. Pretty soon, all of a sudden, the concrete donuts were built in the end of the 60s into the 70s. So any stadium with any design or any architecture appeal It seems like Dodger Stadium was the last for a very long time. In fact, Dodger Stadium was probably the last stadium that was designed with an architectural feel to it. Until I want to go on a limb and say maybe the Rogers Center in the late 80s when they had the innovation of the retractable roof, but even that architecturally isn't that good. But then maybe when you go into the Baltimore, the Camden Yards rather, is probably the first of the actual stadiums where they started looking at architecture and be like, you know what, we're gonna really make these stadiums nice and pretty fancy. So let's put some work into what they look like and design and make them fun for people to go to, but also easy on the eyes too. So very impressive what they did with Dodger Stadium back then. And luckily the stadium still exists and you could still go and check it out. And if you're ever in the LA area, I would definitely say check a game out here. On the bucket list is go see the Sox play out there. They'll be out there in 2026. I hope to be out there to see the Red Sox play the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. There's no initial plans for Dodger Stadium to go anywhere at this point, which is good. And I think this should be one of the stadiums that are preserved, like a lot of the like the Wrigley's and Fenways of the world. I think Dodger Stadium definitely has a place in a historical architectural marker, if you will. So, with that said, that was my experience at Dodger Stadium. It was a great time. It was part of that giant trip I told you when I went from Vegas a couple times. And I was in Anaheim and then went out to Phoenix and all that stuff. And it was absolutely just a great time. And that I was got a nice speeding ticket on that time too. But that was also a great time to go see the team play. It was right before they were rebought. The team was kind of in a slump, but you know what? Since then, they're doing pretty good. So with that said, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe, leave your comments below, and let me know what you think about Dodger Stadium, and tell me what you felt when you went to the stadium. It's an iconic top 5 stadium in all Major League Baseball stadiums. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye.